So you've probably seen the headlines that everyone's moving to Texas, but what does it actually cost to live here? Today we're breaking down real numbers for housing, taxes, and overall affordability so you can decide if DFW fits your budget. Hey, if you're thinking about making a move to North Texas, hit that subscribe button. We post weekly videos to help you move smart. Hey, I'm Brian White, a local realtor and owner of the Blue Fuse Group at eXp Realty. We help people move smart, build wealth through real estate, and protect what matters most. So now we're gonna dive right in. All right, this video is for anyone relocating to Dallas-Fort Worth or trying to figure out how their budget stacks up here. We'll break down what life really costs in 2025, focused on housing, taxes, and what to expect if you're buying in today's market. All right, we're gonna get started and jump right in. We're gonna start off talking about housing costs. Okay, housing in DFW is still more affordable than on each of the coasts. It's one of the biggest reasons that we see people moving in from both coasts, right? So we see them from New York and Philadelphia. We see them coming down from Chicago. And we get a lot of people moving from either Portland, Seattle, or pretty much anywhere in California. And costs are gonna be a huge driver of that. Let's just dive right in and talk about what does it cost to live in Dallas-Fort Worth. At the time of this recording, which is in November of 2025, the median sales price for homes in Dallas-Fort Worth is $360,000. So what does median mean? It means that 50% of homes are priced below and 50% of homes are priced above. I talked about Dallas-Fort Worth, but let's look at Dallas and Fort Worth separately. So the median home price in Dallas is $435,000. Median in Fort Worth is one of those that brings the average down, or the median down, because homes in Fort Worth are just $333,000. Fort Worth is more laid back and is a much more affordable area to live. What's interesting though is that's just the number of homes sold. When we look at the average, those numbers get a little bit more skewed and probably become a little bit more realistic in terms of what people might be paying. So the average is $462,000. So it's about $100,000 higher than the median. And why is that? Well, because there are a number of luxury homes, there are a number of areas that are more affluent. Some of the areas that we talk a lot about on the channel, like Flower Mound and South Lake, are more affluent, and those homes at higher prices drive the prices up. Let's talk specifically about those couple of areas. So first, the median home price in Flower Mound is $585,000. That's not quite double what the median home price in Dallas-Fort Worth is, but it's a good bit higher. It's $200,000 higher than the median in Dallas-Fort Worth. In South Lake, the median home price is almost $1.2 million. So when you think about a multiple of that $360,000 price, that's 3x the median. You're getting a much higher end home. A lot of times you're getting more land, but you're getting it at a significantly higher price. So why am I starting this video talking about housing costs? Well, there's a couple of reasons for that. Number one is that's a true measure from area to area of what you get for your money. You can look at the median from one city to another and figure out, okay, which is gonna be a more expensive place to live. It's the part of the cost that you control. There are other costs that maybe you don't, like the interest rate. And interest rates at the time of this recording are in the 6.2% range, give or take. And that's also gonna be a big driver of your housing costs. So just think about the home you purchase. That's the biggest thing that you can do to manage your budget. And then we're also gonna have to take a look at the other items. Like we're gonna have to look at property taxes. We're gonna look at the insurance rates. And then we're also gonna talk about your interest rate to help package what is your overall cost of ownership for a particular home. All right, next let's talk about property taxes and HOA costs. Really in this section, what I'm thinking of is something called PITI. So that's principal, interest, taxes, and insurance. We really covered the principal and interest portion when we were talking about what did the home cost. So now let's talk about the insurance and taxes and all the other items. The biggest thing for you to know, especially if you're moving to Dallas-Fort Worth from another part of the country, is Texas doesn't have a state income tax. That's a really big deal. It's one of the things that makes Texas so attractive for employers, and one of the things that's really driving the growth. I mean, in Denton County alone, 90 people per day are moving in, and our favorable business and income tax is a big part of that. So since Texas doesn't have a state income tax, really the way we fund just about everything in Texas is by property taxes. That goes for the state government. That also goes for the school districts and the counties and everything else. So each county has a central appraisers district that establishes a value for a home. Then that value is applied to the taxing district, and that's how you get your annual taxes each and every year. Your property tax rate is going to be a big driver of your cost of ownership in your home. Property taxes in Texas are going to range somewhere between 1.5% to in the low 3% range. Now, you might be wondering what drives the variation in those taxes? Well, there are a number of things. The age of an area can be a big driver because new construction areas often have new infrastructure. They have things called MUDs and PIDs. A municipal utility district is an area, it's a taxing district that was put in to help fund the infrastructure, fund the sewers, fund the water lines, fund all of the things that make a town go. So when areas are new, they often have these special taxing districts. Once that infrastructure is paid for, then you see those MUDs and PIDs fall off. So a lot of times older areas, as the infrastructure gets paid for, start to see taxes come down more and more. One of the other things that's one of the biggest drivers of property taxes is going to be the school districts. And school districts that are growing and booming are putting in new schools, they're putting in new infrastructure, and they're having to pay for stuff. Well, the only way that schools get to pay for stuff is with property taxes. As neighborhoods and areas become more mature, as the infrastructure is already in and falls off and becomes paid for, then you can see those school property taxes also come down. So just something you want to make sure you're factoring in and thinking about when you're moving. So just putting a little math to, if you're looking to add a $600,000 house, that could range anywhere from $9,000 at a 1.5% rate all the way up over 3%. So it could be from $9,000 to more than $18,000 in property taxes. As you can see, that's material in terms of your monthly budget. So let's just have a conversation about that. And as we're showing you homes in various areas across DFW, we'll want to factor in your property taxes. Hey, real quick, if you're thinking about making a move to the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that's exactly what I help people do. Whether you're relocating, building new, or just starting to explore your options, let's connect. I work with my family at Blue Fuse Group, and we'd love to help you find your perfect fit. There's a link in the description to schedule a quick call. One of the other things that we need to think about is homeowners associations. People have varying opinions about homeowners associations, but right now we're talking about the cost associated with them. HOAs can vary widely. They can vary from $250 a year to more than $250 a month. One of the things that drives that homeowners association cost is, again, it's the age of the neighborhood, but it's also what are the amenities that they're providing. So in some neighborhoods, it's really just the legal fees and for them to make sure and enforce rules. Well, in a lot of other areas, so we've talked about areas like Lantana and Pecan Square and Harvest, and even Windsong Ranch in Prosper, like they provide a ton of amenities. They're providing multiple neighborhood pools. In the Windsong Ranch example, providing the 5-acre lagoon, right? In Lantana, there's 5 different neighborhood pools, and there's multiple gyms and other resources. So really, HOA costs are driven by what are the amenities that the neighborhood is providing and what are other services. So in a lot of neighborhoods, they're providing landscaping or they're providing lawn maintenance for the front yards, and they're providing a lot of things that make a neighborhood beautiful. So you're gonna wanna make sure that you think about homeowners association costs. And then the last thing that you wanna factor in is homeowners insurance. Homeowners insurance in North Texas in particular is a really big deal. So North Texas has really interesting weather. We get hot in the summer, we get cold in the winter, and we get a lot of thunderstorms. And those thunderstorms often include hail. So insurance companies over the last number of years have been raising their rates because we've had a lot of new roofs. I moved to North Texas back in 2007, and we've gotten new roofs in 2011, 2017, and then again in 2022. So that's a big driver of the cost of homeowners insurance. That's something that you're going to make sure that you get comparison quotes, because those quotes, both in terms of coverage and in terms of the cost, can vary greatly. So something to think about. In terms of the additional costs above and beyond the purchase price of a home, you're going to want to think about your property taxes. You need to think about your homeowners association, and the insurance can also drivers of that PITI cost. Okay, so let's compare. We talked about how Texas is less expensive than many areas across the country. Even with the rising costs, so even with home prices increasing substantially since 2020, that's actually been happening in many areas across the country, North Texas still ends up being favorably viewed. So according to Rent Cafe, housing costs are 5% in North Texas. Housing costs are 5% below the national average. Overall, if you're factoring in all of the things, the cost of the home, the property taxes, the lack of income taxes and utilities, we're 1%. So Dallas is 1% higher than the national average. So when we do a comparison and we look at all of the costs, when we think about not having an income tax, when we factor in property taxes, the lower cost of home ownership here, then overall, Dallas-Fort Worth is 2% more affordable than the national average. Big reason why people are moving here is it's a more affordable place to live. So let's talk about transportation costs. Dallas-Fort Worth is going to be a lot more spread out. There's a lot more drive time when people are getting to work and driving to the various activities. They're driving their kids to sports, they're going to pickleball, or whatever it is that they're going to do. Let's talk about the transportation costs across North Texas. The average gas price in Dallas-Fort Worth is somewhere between $3.20 and $3.50. That's going to be for a higher octane level than most areas across the country. Whenever we get to road trips, we're often shocked to find that the quality of the gas is deteriorating. So relatively speaking, Texas has affordable gas, and we get a higher octane of gas at that affordable cost. One of the things I mentioned earlier is that drive time is greater. You've also got to factor in toll roads. Many of the toll roads across North Texas, the George Bush, the 121, the Dallas North Tollway, these are all tollways, and there aren't a lot of better options. So unless you're going to sit in red lights on the frontage roads, then the roads that you got to take. We often recommend that people think of adding $100 to $200 per month. If they've got a substantial commute, then you need to factor that into your overall budget. The good news is we've got cheaper gas. The bad news is, since you're going to be driving more, that may balance. You end up using more gas, you end up paying some tolls, and since you don't really have rapid transit, then driving ends up being your primary option. Healthcare is an interesting one, and healthcare in Dallas-Fort Worth ends up being more affordable than a lot of places across the country. That said, insurance costs and health insurance costs are through the roof and expected to climb even more. I think studies have already said that the insurance costs, not just in Dallas-Fort Worth, but in Texas as a whole, are expected to go up 30% heading into 2026. So if you're looking at your insurance premiums, just know that the laws or the actuary tables have already been rolled out, that insurance costs are going to go up 30% year over year. So just look into that. The good news is there are a lot of in-network providers, so that's going to help you keep your costs down depending on what your insurance is. If you are looking to explore your insurance options, then my family and I have moved to something. It's a health sharing program. It's a not-for-profit health sharing program, which is the most important part. And it's been an amazing option that does not have a network, allows us to go to insurance provider or healthcare providers all across Dallas-Fort Worth, and it is substantially less expensive for amazing coverage. If that's something you're interested in, then you can schedule an appointment via the link in the description, or you can be sure in Texas, and we'd love to have that conversation with you and help you save money. Healthcare is a really, really big deal in this country, and it's something that we're super passionate about. So living in DFW can absolutely work for most budgets. It's not the bargain that it once was, as we've seen home prices and the cost of living rise over the last handful of years. So you're still getting a lot more house for your money than the coast, but property taxes, insurance, and homeowners associations can add up. We just want to make sure you plan well, because it's still an amazing place to live and is still a little bit more affordable than many places across the country. Hey, if you're thinking about moving here, let's talk. There's a link in the description. Want to compare more areas? Check out our DFW playlist. Drop your questions in the comments and I will reply personally. All right, that's a wrap for today. If you're moving to Dallas-Fort Worth, please reach out. We'd love to make it a great move for you. Before we close, I'll say it again. I always want to make sure that you know that God is good. Jesus has forgiven you, you are loved, and everything is possible. Blessings, and I'll see you next week.